Anastasia thinks that every family should have its own plot of land that's no less than 1 hectare in size. The family needs to transform this plot, which the Taiga hermit calls a family homestead, into a heavenly living oasis that can provide for all of man's material needs. The external appearance of the person's living creation and the way the Creator himself lives on it are indicators of the person's spiritual makeup. She considers it unacceptable to bury family members in a cemetery. They must be buried only on the family homesteads. Then the souls of relatives who have passed on won't suffer because their bodies seem to have been tossed into some deep hole in a cemetery, far away from their loved ones. People who are buried on the family homestead will, with their spirit, help and protect those living on it. Cemeteries analogous to our modern ones did exist back in antiquity too, but they were intended for animals that dropped dead from disease, criminals with no family, and warriors who died in a foreign land. Anastasia has told us how to set up our family homesteads so that we can free ourselves from physical ailments with its help. She has talked in relatively great detail about the ancient and very lovely rite of marriage that helped newlyweds, along with the power of their thought, create the design for their future family homestead, and about how, at the moment of marriage, with the participation of the parents, relatives, and friends, what they had conceived in thought would materialize in the space of several minutes. I think that this rite is one of the greatest discoveries of our millennium. After all, by using it, newlyweds, even today, can acquire a house, a garden, and a family homestead right during their wedding. Anastasia also asserts that for newlyweds who create their family homesteads in this way, love never fades, but actually grows stronger over the years, and she explains why this happens. When a husband looks at his wife, he subconsciously associates her with his glorious homestead too, and also with his child, who must also be born on the homestead. And one can believe in this. After all, the very best place on earth for each person is always his small motherland. His child will always be the most beautiful and best of all children. And Anastasia also asserts that if all people, or the majority of them, begin consciously creating their own family homesteads and turning them into heavenly oases, then the whole earth will be transformed. Natural disasters and wars will not occur on earth. Man's inner spiritual world will change, and new knowledge and capabilities will open up to him. Man will be able to create beautiful worlds resembling the earthly world on other planets. She considers today's technocratic method of exploring space and other planets a dead end, harmful for the planet Earth and the people living on it. The sensible way to explore the planets is through psycho-teleportation. But if people are to be able to do this, they first have to demonstrate their ability to develop the earth and express their spirituality in their way of life, not in words. Official critics might respond to the subjects of the books and to the Taiga hermit's statements in any of a number of ways, but their opinions aren't really so very important. The people, the most important critics, have already expressed their approval in tens of thousands of letters and hundreds of thousands of emails. They've expressed it not only in words, but in concrete actions too, and the hundreds of large and small settlements that have arisen and continue to arise throughout all of Russia are a confirmation of this. Now, here's where a riddle arises, one that's as yet insoluble and cryptic. If a mass movement has been set in motion solely by the statements of a Taiga hermit that have been introduced in books, then what kind of power lies behind her phrases? Perhaps they're constructed in such a way that the letters combine into some kind of code. Perhaps a certain rhythm of her phrases has significance. Anastasia usually tries to adopt the speaking mannerisms of those she's talking with, to use his lexicon and way of constructing phrases. But at certain moments, she'll suddenly begin speaking in some different kind of language that's emphatic and flowing and rhythmical. She pronounces each letter of the phrases she utters very precisely, and you clearly sense an extraordinary energy behind each sound. And then you remember what she said verbatim, as if there's some recorder at work in your brain. And that's not all. Living pictures appear before the listeners, and the subconscious grasps the meaning of what's been said. By way of example, I'll give you an excerpt from Anastasia's retelling of a conversation between God and the first man, from the book Co-Creation. Where is the edge of the universe? What will I do when I come to it? When I have filled everything with myself? When I create that which I have thought? A man of the wellspring people asks God, and he receives his answer. My son, the universe is thought. A dream was born of the thought, and it is partially visible as matter. When you come to the edge of everything, a new beginning and continuation shall your thought discover. Out of nothing will arise the new, beautiful birth of you, and of the aspiration, reflecting in itself your soul and your dream. My son, you are endless, you are eternal. Your creating dreams are within you. There are several theories regarding Anastasia's abilities. I'll share mine with you too. Anastasia's abilities, which seem extraordinary at first glance, were actually inherent in all or the majority of the Wellspring people. The effect of the Tega Hermit's statements have had on many people's actions is due not to some mystical force, but rather to people's very own ability to embrace them with their heart and soul. You get the impression that some memory has been preserved in modern day people's genes or in their subconscious, a memory of the way individual families and human society as a whole lived, starting back in the time of the Wellspring people, when man still understood how to communicate directly with God. This way of life, the Wellspring people's, is significantly more advanced than today's. Maybe it's from those times when people still knew what heaven was, but I don't think these people's actions were connected to any specific religion. All the homesteads that readers of the books are building turn out differently from each other. The houses they put up don't just differ in their external appearance. Some are two-storey wooden houses, while others are one-storey wattle and daub affairs, and the gardens, living fences and ponds are also constructed differently. It's common knowledge that religious ritual requires all its participants to strictly observe standardized ways of acting and speaking, but here we clearly see each individual's personal creativity in the way they realize this beautiful idea. If people are thankful to Anastasia for anything, it's probably for the fact that she has awakened within their souls the aspirations of a human creator. Beautiful.